Hello and welcome to Joanne Graff Field in Tallahassee, Florida, where if you joined us yesterday for number 9 Alabama and number 7 Florida State, I've got good news for you. Double the pleasure to see the Tide and the Noles back at it at the ballpark again today. Hi there, everybody. Welcome inside the booth. Sean Davison alongside FSU infielder Brandon Reichert, and it's always fun when you get two top 10 teams together early, and when they meet multiple times, it's even more intriguing.
Absolutely. These are two powerhouse teams. Like you said, top 10 facing off for the second time this weekend. What more excitement could you want?
Well, for Alabama, I don't know how it could be any more exciting than what they were able to put together yesterday. For 3 innings, it looked like a pitcher's duel, and then they went yard 3 times in the fourth.
Man, the fourth inning seemed to be all they needed. They really started to see the ball and hit the ball well, but they really displayed the power with those 3 home runs. And you look at the excitement there, and just seemed to be all they needed, like I said.
They tacked on 4 more runs in the 7th, so 8 in total, 11 hits. The 3 round trippers I referenced, 5 of 14 with runners in scoring position. They ultimately left 8 runners still on base, so they really applied a lot of pressure to FSU's defense.
They absolutely did, and that's what it took. Those first 3 innings, like you said, it looked like it was going to be a pitcher's duel. It was a battle of the pitchers, and then all of a sudden, Alabama started getting base runners on and putting a lot of pressure on that defense.
On the flip side for Florida State, if you're going to try to neutralize that momentum, neutralize the firepower, how about Jazzy Francic, the sophomore out of Rockledge, Florida, who plays for Great Britain's national team as well. An ERA at 1.04, 26 strikeouts to 10 walks over her 3 starts, 2-time ACC Pitcher of the Week against lefties batting 170, or excuse me, they're only batting 174 against her. Righties batting 141 against her. Each side not having a whole lot of success.
Absolutely. This is undeniably Florida State's ace, and this is that punch back we were talking about, right? Florida State's got to punch back in this game 2 of the weekend series, and who better to do it with than Jazzy Francic?
Jazzy is ready to get after it in the circle against, if you watched Bama for the first time last night, those of you who are tuned in from Tuscaloosa, you've known this for a couple of weeks now, an uber-talented Alabama lineup. Can't wait to introduce you to all the playmakers this afternoon. Let's have some fun in Tallahassee. Francic, the Noles, Vandegrift, the Tide, we're underway. And I mentioned Audrey Vandegrift at the top of the order. Tough luck last night for her. Hit a lot of balls well, just didn't get any to drop. She'll lead off again for Wells, Papillo, Giles, Hawkins, Roman, Young, Hubbard, and Johnson. Papillo, 2 for 4 against the Seminoles. A huge home run over the scoreboard in right. Part of that massive 4th inning. And right now going to be batting 3rd. A little tweak to the 3-4-5 for Alabama, everything else the same.
I was going to say all the same names from yesterday, but a small tweak in the middle of the lineup, and maybe just situationally looking to capitalize on base runners with some of those switches.
1 and 2 to Vandegrift as the Crimson Tide look on from the visitors' dugout. Francic looking to get Florida State off to a positive start here at home. And Vandegrift elevates this to right field, and Shelby McKenzie able to make the play out there in right for Florida State.
Francic doing a great job of getting ahead right there to get that quick out for the Noles.
McKenzie in right, joined by Sturgis in center, Danley in left. Up the middle of the infield, Griggs in place of Torres after the 7th inning collision last night, along with Heller out on the corners. Beecham and Bueno, Ruggiero in the backstop for Francic. And when Florida State picks up the bats, Anna Hind, who started in the backstop last night, will be the Noles DP. Here's Brooke Wells. And boy, did Brooke add to her legend already. She's a sophomore from Texas who's batting north of 500. Incredible numbers a season ago at Texas Tech. Unheralded, under the radar in terms of award watch lists, you name it. All she does is produce, though, and she did again last night with a home run of her own.
A home run, a single, and a double. This was one of the toughest outs to get in that Bama lineup. Brooke Wells, like you said, legendary coming in here, but under the radar legendary. But she has done nothing but improve her name on this since she's been in Alabama.
Ahead in the count here, 2-1 on the ground. Heller able to make the pick, and a nice play by the freshman up the middle.
That's a great backhand play by the freshman Heller. Great job to get Wells. Tough play, too. Makes it look easy. Wells out in front of that ball. Francic doing a good job of keeping these Alabama hitters off balance so far.
And that'll bring up Alexis Papillo out of Crystal Lake, Iowa, who started her career at Northern Iowa. Her freshman and sophomore seasons puts a charge into that ball to right, and Papillo puts Alabama on the board first.
Jumping all over this first offering from Francic. And Papillo, that's her second home run against Seminole pitching this weekend. Just middle, doesn't miss, has it timed up perfectly, and just launches this ball over the right center field fence.
Hammers the change, and Alabama strikes first yet again against the Seminoles here this weekend. Marley Giles steps into the batter's box. Yesterday batted fifth, now in the cleanup spot, protecting Papillo, who didn't need much protecting there.
Right. And Giles herself yesterday 2 for 3 with a double. So Francic making quick work. I'll tell you what, she's not going to throw another changeup.
Hard on the gun there at 70. Quickly 0-2 to Marley Giles, who actually leads Alabama in terms of batting average.
There's the changeup away. It's a great chase pitch right there. You see Francic, what makes her so good and so special, that changeup looks identical out of the hand to the fastball. And her hard ball, her rise ball 70 miles an hour, and that changeup able to drop that down into the mid to low 50s.
Below the zone there, 2 balls, 2 strikes from Francic to Marley Giles. I mentioned that Giles leads Alabama in terms of batting average at .520. For context's sake, 2024 was her previous career best at .305. Bueno will not have anybody back at first after she collects that ball off the dirt.
And this just a tough 2-strike swing right here from Giles. Not a bad approach with 2 strikes. Ball's hit very well at Bueno. She's just unable to handle it.
It will go down as an E3 on Angeli Bueno. First offering to Salen Hawkins is upstairs for ball 1.
Two outs for the Seminoles.
And Hawkins bounces this right to Bueno. This time makes a better play for Florida State. But Alabama has had their say already in this game. Alexis Papillo, who had a home run in the same part of the ballpark yesterday, already making her case, and Alabama leads 1-0. Well, yesterday was the day that the Alabama freshman pitchers feasted in the circle. You had a perfect game from Peyton Palazzi. McMoten won a complete game shutout against Florida State. But today it's Jocelyn Brisky, the junior, the veteran of the staff out of Phoenix, Arizona with a 2.42 ERA. No walks to 18 strikeouts for Brisky, who's coming in off of an off-season rehab process. And so is she 100%? Not quite in all likelihood. The pitch count climbs each and every week. But Patrick Murphy's still optimistic in what he can get out of her this weekend. Really wants to get a lot of production out of all 5 of his pitchers this weekend against the Seminoles, Elon, and Dartmouth. And she squares off with Maren Heller right out of the gates. Heller, who usually bats second behind Isa Torres, is quickly behind the count 0-2, moving up into the leadoff spot because, again, Torres is out, so it's Heller, Beecham, Danley, Hine, Griggs, McKenzie, Sturgis, Ruggiero, and Bueno. McKenzie was 2 for 2 against Dartmouth. That game wrapped right about an hour ago as Heller goes down swinging. McKenzie walked it off with a home run to run rule the Big Green.
Brisky only taking 3 pitches to retire Heller. Climbs the ladder. She also throws that hard rise ball, and that ball just continues to rise through the zone. Unhittable for Heller on that particular pitch.
Beecham catches a piece, but still strike one off that foul ball into the backstop. And Jason E. Beecham made the incremental improvements last night against Vic Moten. The ABs got better and better for the junior, who comes into this game batting .371. Ended up barreling her pretty good, but in Florida State's case, too little, too late, right? You're down by 8 runs at that point, and certainly anything could spark a rally, but Moten was just way too good for Alabama.
Silver lining from yesterday was Jason E. Beecham, who was doing, she got better every single at bat. Started out with a strikeout looking, then drives the ball to center field for an out, then absolutely crushes the ball. So silver lining there, and hopefully she carries that into today's game.
And an interesting dynamic here. You've got a player in Beecham who's worked 14 walks and a player in Brisky who hasn't walked anybody. Play across the diamond in time. Hubbard got it to first, and Beecham is out.
Great hustle down the line right there by Beecham. I wouldn't be surprised if the coaching staff at Florida State wants to take a look. You see they have her played perfectly, but back her up. And that's going to be a tough one. The call on the field is out right there. Well, that's about as close as they get right there. So it looks like they are going to take a look at this to see if Beecham is safe. And if you're Florida State, you got to get some base runners. You got to find a way to just get to this Alabama pitching staff that has been so good this weekend.
There have not been many spots of bother for those Bama pitchers. As you mentioned it, our umpiring crew will head to the monitor. It's Aaron Golden, Donald Brown, and Emily Torrance doing the honors. Golden at home, Donald Brown at first, Torrance at third. And so they'll take a look at a multitude of camera angles to determine as best they can whether or not the call on the field was correct. They're going to need indisputable video evidence to overturn the call, which, again, for clarification purposes, was that Jason E. Beecham is out at first.
Yeah, you see the slow motion play here. That's a tough play by the third baseman, an outstanding stretch by the first baseman, which I love to see. But you see this angle right here. It is tough. I just don't know. I would hate to be an umpire reviewing this right now. It looks like the heel touched the base, but it's hard to tell if the ball's in or glove.
And I think, you talked about how tight that call is. Unless you see something that surefire shows that she beat that,
right?
It's hard to overturn that when it's so close.
I love doing games here. So many camera angles.
And really good camera work by the crew, too.
Absolutely. Great job right there. You love to see it. Great hustle play by Beecham. Called out. Tough play. Tough break for Florida State.
So in steps Ashton Danley. Danley, the junior who starts this game as FSU's left fielder, batting .333 on the year, a home run, 8 RBI. 0-2.
This one's
out in front, and the flip to first will retire Danley. So 1, 2, 3 for Brisky and Bama in the bottom of the first. The Papillo home run has the Tide in front 1-0 through 1 at Joanne Graff Field. Patrick Murphy, the head coach of the University of Alabama softball program, 6-time SEC Coach of the Year, 19 super regional appearances, 15 trips to OKC, the 2012 national champions, made the tournament every year under his guidance. Most recent trip to OKC was a couple of years ago for the Crimson Tide. And Anna Roman goes the other way on it. Griggs able to retreat to the grass and haul in out number 1.
And Jazzy Franchik making a great pitch right there to get the very hard out. Roman jams her up a little bit and an easy pop to shortstop.
Positive start to this second for Jazzy Franchik. In steps Jenna Young, the junior out of Iowa. Young, who bats 7th for Alabama today, batting just a touch shy of 400 on the season. 2-0 the count, and then you go back to Young's career at Iowa. A number of numbers stand out, right? She batted .366 over a couple of years, but to me, the walk to strikeout ratio, 53 to 21.
Absolutely, it tells you what she's capable of up there. She's got a very, very good eye. She's able to drive balls when they are in the zone, but she is not swinging at balls out of the zone. 2 walks last night against Florida State pitching, but she also was 1 for 2 at the plate.
7 walks to 1 strikeout so far this season as well for Young, who's ahead in the count 3-0. Called strike there to Franchik.
This is what makes you a good hitter, right? You work these counts in your favor and give yourself an opportunity to get something to hit. And that one right there, 3-1. You know, you're looking for something you can drive, and Franchik just said, here you go, good luck. Absolute gas on that pitch, though.
Franchik battling back, to make the count full here. But Young will work the walk nonetheless.
Jenna Young doing what she does and working counts and causing havoc. That's her 3rd walk in 2 games so far here against Florida State.
That'll bring up Monty Hubbard. 3rd straight start at 3rd for Hubbard, whose first pitch swinging, popping that up into the shallow outfield grass. Griggs had a beat on it the entire time. 2 pop outs to the shortstop, Griggs.
Yeah, it was a vast difference from yesterday. Those 2 swinging hard at the first pitch, missing those balls. Jazzy Franchik helps out your pitcher, right? You just had a batter work a very, very good, tough walk, great at bat, and then first pitch, pop it up to an infielder.
Lauren Johnson swinging first pitch.
Jenny Young over there at first base is a stolen base threat. She's 3 for 3 so far this season.
Called strike to Johnson. Jazzy Franchik trying to keep the order from turning over. Johnson, who bats 9th, batting at 400 on the season. OPS well north of 1,000. But still trying to get her weekend rolling. On the throw down to second, that'll get into center field. Not far enough for Young to advance another 60, but she does take the stolen base.
Yeah, great jump right there. I gotta say, not a terrible throw, but a little bit to the second base side of the bag. I think Griggs might have been a step or 2 late getting there, but I think Jenna Young had that stolen all the way.
Well off the plate. Good job there by Ruggiero. Had to get way up out of her stance to keep that from getting to the backstop.
So big pitch here for Franchik.
And she fans Johnson. Jazzy Francic avoids turning the order over, strands a base runner for Bama, and gives her Noles a little momentum.
Great pitch right here, just gas by you, Bama. And that'll get you right back into the dugout. Try to get these bats alive for the Noles.
Beautiful day at the ballpark as Alabama takes on the Seminoles, the 9th-ranked Tide, the 7th-ranked Noles. And each of these programs knows exactly what it takes to perform well, to make deep postseason runs. It's stitched into the Seminoles and to the Crimson Tide's respective program histories. As Anna Hine, part of the next generation of Seminoles, steps in to the batter's box. First pitch swinging right back to Brisky, who barely even had to move to put Hind away at first. One up, one down. Anna Hine's head coach Lonnie Alameda, 7-time ACC Coach of the Year, a national championship in 2018, and in the 2 trips to OKC since, national runners-up in 21 and 2023. One of the winningest active Division I head coaches, just outside the top 10, and quickly closing in on 1,000 wins in her career.
Yeah, absolutely. We've talked about both coaches so far and the programs that they run and how many wins they put together. Just an amazing job by both of these programs to draw in the talent that puts them in that race for a championship every year.
For Florida State, that race this year started at home. They were on the road a lot last year, were the Seminoles, as Griggs fouls another one off. This year they're at home. Then they went to the Shriners Children's St. Pete Clearwater Invitational, where Griggs, the freshman of Perrysburg, Ohio, picked up her first career home run. She's looking for her first hit since, though. She had a couple against FAU. She just hasn't been able to find the gaps here of late. Lays off that ball downstairs to make it 1 and 2. But all in all, Florida State gave Texas Tech all they wanted. The national runners-up, who also came in here for a Tallahassee Super Regional a season ago. We'll see the Red Raiders back in Tallahassee in a few weeks' time. Griggs goes down swinging.
Yeah, just climbs the ladder right there to Jocelyn Brisky. Not a bad at bat by Griggs, but just overpowered right there by the rise ball. And a quick 2 outs for Brisky.
And Shelby McKenzie's first pitch swinging. 70 on the gun from Brisky, but FSU put it on UCLA, beating the Bruins 11-7. Then the next day, twist of fate, Tennessee got the better of the Seminoles before FSU walked off Louisiana in the midweek. Then, just earlier today, Shelby McKenzie walked off Dartmouth.
Yeah, an absolute rocket. Straight dead center field. You know, Florida State was up 6-0 and able to hit a 2-run homer right there to put it away. Another walk-off for McKenzie.
Had a grand slam against Iowa on Florida State's opening weekend.
I'll tell you what, she's seeing the ball really, really well. She seems to have this this particular pitcher timed up well. She's fouling some balls off, fighting through this at bat, but so far today, she's seen it well. She's got a chance here.
And McKenzie will be beaten to the bag. Wells makes a nice flip to first to retire the Florida State right fielder. 3 up, 3 down for the Seminoles in the second. Alabama still leads at 1-0. Back here in Tallahassee, getting set for the third inning. We'll take a look at the last 4 Women's College World Series champions. Texas winning the most recent installment. What a run for Oklahoma. No tournament in 2020 due to the COVID shutdown, so UCLA and Florida State part of that graphic there. And the most World Series Championship Series appearances since 2005. Yeah, you'll find Florida State there as well. Audrey Vandegrift leading things off for Alabama. And You know, FSU's success in the postseason is notable, but Alabama certainly have also done their part as mainstays in the NCAA tournament as well. And Vandegrift looking to do her part for this Bama lineup here today. Ahead in the count, 2-0 to Jazzy Francic. We'll see as we kickstart this second trip through the lineup what adjustments these Bama batters make. That's where they got after the Seminoles yesterday.
Yeah, that's really the difference maker in the game. That second time through the lineup, they were able to really make adjustments. Francic with a phenomenal pitch on the outside corner right there to get back into this count. But the Bama hitters, man, that was the name of the game. They made adjustments and did it so well and so efficiently that they were able to put a 4 spot up in their second time through the lineup.
Vandegrift thought about laying down the bunt, but it rolls foul. She alone ended several innings last night.
She got up 5 times last night.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
ended 4 of, obviously she can't. She's the leadoff hitter. She can't end the first, but every other time up. And with some well-hit balls, too.
A strikeout for Francic to start this second trip through the Bama order.
And Vandegrift able to get ahead in this count against Francic, but Francic all the way back to get the strikeout. That is a very good hard sinker to get Vandegrift out.
And that will bring up Wells, who by virtue of Vandegrift being the batter who ended a lot of innings, found herself leading off a lot of times.
Absolutely. And doing it well. I think every time she led off an inning, she got a hit.
You mentioned it earlier, the single, the triple, the home run for Wells. Quickly, 0-2 off the changeup fouled away.
Talk about how both of these programs have a rich tradition of winning. These are the teams. These are 2 teams you're going to see on TV come the end of the season.
On the ground, she grounded out to Heller the first time through. She'll do it again here.
And I'll tell you what, anytime you can get Brooke Wells to make soft contact on a ball, you're doing something right. Jazzy Francic able to keep the bat away from the barrel of one of the hottest hitters in this lineup, Brooke Wells. Speaking of hot hitters,
you've got Alexis Papillo. 3 for 7 yesterday, including the home run against Florida State. Already on the board with a home run today against the Seminoles. Papillo from, I think I was saying this as she laid into one, from Crystal Lake, Iowa. Played her first couple of years at Northern Iowa. Plays off inside, it's 2-0.
Francic, you have to come inside. After that last one, she laid a changeup, right? Middle, and Papillo did not miss. So trying to get in on the hands of Papillo here. That's definitely the approach, but quickly falling behind.
Make it 2 balls and a strike for Papillo, who led Alabama in RBI coming into this tournament. Top 10 in the SEC. And that rode in and got her.
I'll tell you, I don't disagree with this approach by Francic at all. Staying inside all the way. This one just rising up a little too high, catching that elbow guard. But you know what? With a couple of two of her last 3 at bats have been absolute rockets over the scoreboard. So.
And that's a rocket right back up the middle and through, courtesy of Marley Giles.
Yeah, not a bad swing. Good pitch right there, I think, by Francic. This one off the end of the bat. Little top spin just past the glove of Francic and the diving Griggs, but C&I single is what they would call it in baseball, but this one gets right up the middle, and now you got 2 runners on for the Thundering Herd.
Well, Salem Hawkins put an end to the first inning when she grounded out to Florida State's first baseman, Angelique Bueno. She steps in with 2 outs yet again a couple innings later. Hawkins, who for a large part of the fall was Alabama's best batter. In fact, we saw her batting third yesterday.
Right. Yeah, and strategically, like you're 3-hole hitter, maybe you're thinking Wells, Papillo, Giles, they're going to get on base. And look at right here. She's got an opportunity with 2 runners on base. Drop her down to the 5-hole and give her some RBI opportunities.
No call off the drop. And there is that ground out I referenced for Salem. .11 RBI. Her career best is 20. Softly off the end and foul.
Great changeup right there by Francic to slow the bat down of Hawkins, and that's what you got to do. Somebody who's been as good a hitter as Hawkins, you got to try to slow her bat down, make her hit something off the end of the bat, pop it up to an infielder in this inning, get out of the damage. There you go.
Popped her up. Griggs calls everybody off and takes care of business up the middle for Florida State. 1-0 Alabama, heading to the bottom of the third. Just to add some layers onto why this doubleheader of sorts sandwiched into the Dugout Club Classic is so intriguing. Not only are they 2 of the best teams in the country this year, but since 2016, Florida State the second most winningest program behind only Oklahoma. And when you look down at the bottom of that top 5, there you'll find Alabama, no slouch themselves, winning over 430 games in the last decade or so.
Right. Last 10 years, there's so many wins between these 2 programs as
Sturgis goes to left.
Great swing right out of the gates, doing a little bit of damage, and maybe that's the spark this Florida State lineup needs to get going. A leadoff double for McKenna Sturgis. You'll see this ball just jumps all over the middle, rise ball, catches it out in front, stays on top, and drives it all the way to the wall. And with her speed, an easy double for Sturgis.
Boy, that is a development for Florida State.
Runners in scoring position.
Took them much longer than that just to get a hit against Alabama last night. So a double in the third. What a start as Ruggiero takes a cut.
Before I was cut off by that laser of a double, I was going to say between these 2 programs over the last 10 years, they have so many W's between them, you'd think they were part of some .com.
Yeah. Ruggiero fouls that away. And, you know, going back to the Sturgis double, she had a double yesterday against Alabama. Not a whole lot of success at the plate for Florida State, but that youngster has had a couple of good ABs.
She has. She's absolutely had some good ABs, and that's what you want to see from the bottom of your lineup. You want to see some success and some base runners to roll that into your big bats at the beginning of the lineup.
Down goes Ruggiero.
Yeah, just a rise ball that is just too hot to handle. This on the outside part of the plate. Really good pitch there by Brisky, and just too much to handle for Ruggiero.
Called strike to Angelique Bueno over the outside part of the plate. 24 pitches thrown by Brisky. 22 of them have been strikes.
Well, that's one thing you're going to see here. I was gonna say, as a hitter at Florida State, you got to be thinking she's gonna throw strikes. She has 0 walks on the season. She is not somebody that walks a lot of batters in her career, even. But that being said, you know you're going to see strikes. You got to sit strikes, look for something you can handle and drive it.
And that's going to get away. Opportunity for Florida State to equalize Alabama here in the third, and this opens up a range of possibilities here, Brandon.
Absolutely. This is and you got Bueno, who has been so good in these situations.
but climbs the ladder. What a pitch by Brisky.
Brisky doing what Brisky does right there. She is climbing the ladder with that hard rise ball over the bat of Bueno, and unfortunately, the Florida State Seminoles not able to capitalize on that at bat, but it does roll the lineup over to Marin Heller.
And as you mentioned, here is Marin Heller.
This is a young lady who's been really, really good over this weekend, and so far in her Florida State career.
Ahead in the count, 1-0. On the ground to third. And Hubbard puts Heller away, and Bama sidesteps the Seminoles' threat in the bottom of the third. The Tide lead it 1-0, heading to the fourth. Clemson Tide, winners of their first matchup with the 7th-ranked Seminoles of Florida State. 8-0 last night, 4 in the fourth, 4 in the seventh. Coming into the weekend, their numbers really good. .385 the team batting average, over 9 runs per game, slugging nearly 800, 21 home runs. That batting average, by the way, top 10 in the country, right up toward the top of the SEC as well. So Bama has done their part, and I think for some folks wondering, right, what is it going to look like when you take that next step in competition? They played some good teams, none of them ranked. It translated. I think we all witnessed how well it translated.
I'll tell you what, this is one of the most fierce lineups, I think, in the country when you look at what they're able to do against really good pitching. And one of those bats is a freshman, Anna Roman. She has been so good so far in her freshman campaign, batting .400, coming into this game with 5 home runs and 14 RBIs.
Yeah, came into the game leading Alabama in the home run department with 5. Has a couple this weekend already in Tallahassee. This time, though, flies out to Ashton Danley.
And that is a really good job and a break right there for Jazzy Francis. She's been a really good, outside of one really well-hit ball, she's done a good job of not just keeping these Alabama hitters off balance, but kind of producing weaker contact for the, we didn't see a whole lot of weak contact in yesterday's game.
For about 3 innings, we didn't really see any contact, and then
true.
What we saw was hard.
That is true.
But Francic, who is as decorated as you can be as a sophomore, and for good reason.
And this is so something Florida State has not been really phenomenal at in this weekend's tournament is getting through that batting order for the second time. So Francic making really, she's almost better the second time through so far.
Flips the corner there to Jenny Young, who worked a full count walk with 1 out in the second. Similar spot, no call this time.
And Jenny Young doing what she does best, working the count in her favor. She has been so good at that. She does not swing at a bad pitch at all almost. It's very, very quality at bats from Jenny Young.
Griggs, nice play.
That ball well hit, 3-1, barreled up, but not too hard. Griggs able to pick up the short hop and make quick work of Jenny Young right there. And you're keeping a speedster off the bag, so gotta love that.
And that'll bring up Maddie Hubbard, who popped out to Griggs. One of a couple of pop-outs by Bama in the second. Shows bunt to start.
That's a good ploy right there to kind of draw in those corner infielders. You see third baseman Jason E. Beecham playing a step or two in front of the bag just in case we see the bunt again. And she does show it. So one thing that when you show that bunt, it will change the defensive orientation. It draws in those corner infielders, and it'll maybe put a little pressure on the pitcher to throw a better strike. And when you pull back like this,
something like this can happen. Hubbard to the straight.
Really, really good cat and mouse game with Francic and Hubbard right there. You see Francic, rise ball running in on the hands, and Hubbard able to pull her hands in and drive the ball over the wall. That is her first home run and RBI of the season. You see the excitement on her face and her teammates' face. They know what just happened.
Lauren Johnson with decent contact, but foul. But Hubbard, I mentioned, really getting her first couple of looks in the starting lineup this season, this weekend. Third straight start at third. Won a combined 3 for 6 for Alabama yesterday. Those were her only 3 hits on the season, so that is her first extra base hit of any kind this year. The sophomore of Huntsville, Alabama. Important here for Francic, though. Again, you're trying to avoid turning that order over. No more damage done. That's the objective.
Right.
1 and 2.
Yeah, she's got a little ice water in the veins. I'm sure she's a little frustrated by that. You know, a hitter who's more of a contact hitter, getting the ball up in the air and letting it just get over the fence. That's a little frustrating as a hitter or as a pitcher.
Poked toward Griggs, who ranges back and makes the play. Alabama tacks on another run in the 4th. They lead it by 2. Back here in Tallahassee, fans of all ages taking in the action here at the ballpark. Not a bad seat in the house in Florida's capital city of Tallahassee. And if you're Florida State looking to respond, Jason E. Beecham, who bats second in the order but will lead off here in the 4th. Pretty darn good place to start. Big cut there at the first offering from Brisky, 0-1 at 70 miles per hour. Beecham, who grounded out to third, was beat out to the bag by a really nice throw by Hubbard. Caught a piece, fouls it away quickly, 0-2.
Yeah, I like Beecham's approach this at bat. Again, you know that Brisky is going to throw strikes. That's what she's been doing. It's what she's known for. She has if you're doing a scouting report on this young lady, she is a strike-throwing machine. So go up there and hack.
That one fouled away. It's a Florida State team that really feels like they have been figuring some things out. Coach Alameda at times has joked this year about how it's been a bit of a hockey line shift for Florida State in terms of the personnel, and really credits the trip to Clearwater as being one of those experiences for her team where, especially for the younger ones, you know, you go on the road, it feels like the postseason type environment.
Absolutely.
There's kids wanting autographs, people are screaming, there's a lot of stimuli, if you will.
Sure.
Can you block it out? Can you play softball? And you just sort of store some of those memories, those experiences. This is another one today.
Absolutely. This is a high leverage game. You're playing another top 10 team in the country, and you got every seat in the house is packed out. So it's a big time game, really and truly. And we're only in the first couple weeks of the season. So it's an experience for the freshmen. It's an opportunity for the leadership on this team to
make something happen. Beecham just did.
Look at this. You took the words right out of my mouth. Make something happen. Another leadoff base runner here for Florida State. What a great at-bat by Beecham. This ball off the end of the bat. Great effort by the third baseman from Bama. But Beecham beating it out. And I'll tell you what, she's 1 for 2 on going head-to-head against the third baseman from Bama.
Yeah, Hubbard just beat her in the first, and Beecham wins out here in the fourth. Ashton Danley climbing the ladder upstairs, strike one. She grounded out right back to first. This up the middle off the glove of Brisky. Florida State's got multiple runners aboard.
And this ball right here hit a little bit funky right back to the pitcher off of her glove. I'll tell you what, reacted very well, very quickly, but off the end of the glove and puts it out of reach to get the speedy Danley. And you got first and second and nobody out here. An opportunity for the freshman Hind.
And might I add, second trip through the order. What adjustments can Florida State make against a pitcher who is tremendous in Brisky, but has been limited in terms of pitch count, still getting up to speed, very much so in the early stages of this season.
Absolutely, but you look at the numbers right now. She's thrown 39 pitches, only 5 balls. If you're Florida State, you have got to look for that strike, and I think that's what they're doing. You're seeing a lot more aggressive at-bats from these Seminole hitters. Second time through the lineup.
Big cut there for Anna Hind, who grounded out back to the circle, and Brisky in the second inning. Florida State was retired in order in each of the first 2 innings. Had a leadoff double in the third, so you can feel the offensive momentum building for the Seminoles. Heck, they've tied Alabama in the hit count, 3 apiece.
Absolutely.
Problem for FSU, 2 of the 3 for Alabama have been round trippers.
Right, this is a day in Tallahassee, Florida, where if you can elevate the ball, it could get out of here in a hurry.
Hind. That's not what she had in mind. It's elevated, but it's behind the plate, and Giles is underneath it, 1 away.
Yeah, that ball right there slows the bat down of Hind. She's, just kind of reaching for that ball, and she clips the bottom and pops it straight up to the catcher.
And whether it's Hind, whether it's Griggs stepping up big today for Florida State, taking over for Issa Torres up the middle, big cut there, 0-1. Lonnie Alameda said, the thing that's unique about this bunch is that you think, okay, you're going to get your leadership from your Jason E. Beecham. You're going to get your leadership from your Issa Torres. They've had freshman leadership too, and whether it's a Haley Griggs stepping up big today for FSU without Torres, they've enjoyed that so far.
Extremely, extremely complimentary was Coach for her freshman class and what they've been able to accomplish, but also with how hard they've worked at practice and what they bring to the table in intensity, right?
Big situation here for Griggs. Called strike 3.
Brisky able to get ahead in the count and throw an absolute dime on the outside corner. That ball looked like it was gonna stay out and just faded its way back across the plate and freezes Haley Griggs for strike 3.
Not a very long conversation. I don't even think the right side of the infield ever made it into the circle. They just took a couple of steps and said, all right, Marley, you got it. And Marley's already back in the backstop as Shelby McKenzie steps in.
Right.
Perhaps the most dangerous bat for Florida State today.
She's hot today, that's for sure.
And she's swinging like she's hot.
Absolutely, she's being aggressive, and like she is. We talked about elevating the ball. She was one that has left the yard before, including one earlier today. So she's got the ability to change the dynamic of the game with one swing.
Ball 1, it evens the count to McKenzie, who last year as a freshman really earned more playing time later in the season. Half of her hits coming in the last month or so of the season. 5 of them in the NCAA tournament where she batted about .450.
That's a really good pitch and a really good spot and excellent execution right there by Brisky. That ball starting out over the middle of the plate and working its way away from the hitter. Such a hard pitch to hit.
Fouled away by McKenzie, who got to be an interesting matchup for Shelby today, whose mom, Amy, played softball at Alabama. Has a couple of uncles who also played baseball for Alabama, Matt and Andy. And down goes Shelby. What guts from Jocelyn Brisky.
Man, 2 leadoff singles for the Seminoles, and they don't get anything out of it. Brisky able to take care of the next 3 batters and get out of the jam she put herself into.
Welcome back to Tallahassee, where Alabama and Florida State are playing their second game of this Dugout Club Classic at Joanne Graff Field. Jazzy Francic, the 2-time ACC Pitcher of the Week for the Seminoles, is ready to get going in the circle once again. And Bama, meanwhile, will be back to the top of the order. And Audrey Vandegrift, who has made a lot of hard contact this weekend, has not had the hit to show for it.
Right. She's done very, very well. She's an impressive hitter, able to get the barrel on a lot of balls. She fights through at bats. She sees a lot of pitches. She just hadn't had anything fall for her so far this weekend. But you can tell why she is a staple at the top of the lineup for this Bama lineup.
A ball and a strike to Vandegrift. Batting .333.
Great pitch right there by Francic.
A huge strikeout for Francic.
And that is how you answer the call. Florida State not able to get it done on offense the last couple innings after starting off well, but Francic coming in with a big leadoff strikeout to the leadoff hitter Vandegrift.
And here is Brooke Wells. Brooke, a player that Alabama found. You know, she hit the portal, didn't have a whole lot of love from the Big 12 in terms of awards, didn't have any, in fact, somehow slipped beneath everybody's radar. And so she ended up in the portal, and Patrick Murphy said, you know, I did my due diligence, talked to the folks in Houston, talked around a little bit, but she played on the U.S. Junior National Team, at which point her head coach was Kyla Hollis, who played for Patrick Murphy when he was an assistant coach at the University of Louisiana.
Yeah.
And so he got a built-in scouting report from the junior national team of all places, and couldn't have been more glowing about Brooke. And she has come to campus, and he said she hits the ball Bailey Hemphill hard. And if there's anybody out there that remembers Bailey Hemphill, that's quite the compliment.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, she has done nothing but impress since we've seen her here in Tallahassee. But so far this year, .484 batting average, 4 homers, 15 RBIs, and just been an electric part of this lineup for Alabama.
I'm sure there's folks in Tuscaloosa going, what do you mean, who remembers Bailey Hemphill? Of course we remember Bailey Hemphill. But, man, that's quite the compliment. And no doubt, Jazzy Francic wise to be careful. She did work the count back to full, and that is a well-hit ball, albeit foul.
And that's really the first barrel that Brooke Wells has found today off Jazzy Francic, but Francic having to come back in those counts. This is why it's so important to work ahead of these Bama hitters, because they can make you pay if you make that one mistake. And that's what Wells is looking for right here, is a mistake.
Still full, and she will work the walk. First time on base against Jazzy Francic. And it looks like we'll have Kinley Pate checking in to pinch run. The Samford transfer will take her place over at first.
going to bring up the hot-hitting Papillo, who, if you look at the scores, only 2-0. Alabama and Florida State both with 3 hits, but Alabama with 2 of them leaving the yard.
And Papillo hits this well, and Papillo cannot be stopped. Alexis Papillo has driven in 3 of Alabama's 4 runs today.
I'll tell you what, we talked about the approach. Frantic going inside on Papillo, trying to get on the hands, but Papillo pulls the barrel in, drives this ball out over the right field wall with the first pitch. That's 2 home runs on the first pitch of the at-bat for Papillo today.
And that will bring up Marley Giles. Ball 1 off the plate.
And this is talked about the second time through the lineup and adjustments that need to be made, and you see it. You'll start to see third time. Once they start to see a pitcher 3 times, you start to see the ball a little better. So far, Alabama able to make adjustments that count.
Ahead in the count, 2-0. Giles has been on base both times she's come to the plate, once via an error, once via a single. Good pitch there by Frantic, bearing it into Giles. And Giles will drop this ball in left. Another single for Marley Giles.
Giles again putting the bat on the ball when it counts. We talked about, the little shakeup that Alabama did with their, 3-4-5 hitters?
Yep.
And so far, Giles moving to the 4-hole and able to be on base all 3 times for Salin Hawkins, who's coming up now. And we're in a scenario now where you have another base runner. You only have 1 out, leadoff strikeout to Vandergriff. And since then, a walk, a homer, and a hit, and that looks like the end of the night for Jazzy Frantic.
She'll make her way to the dugout. We'll step aside for a few moments and reset the scene after this. Welcome back to Tallahassee in the top of the 5th. 2 outs for McKenna Reed to get to pull the Noles through the Bama order here. Senior out of Portland, Oregon. Coming off of her best outing of the season, 2 1/3 against Dartmouth yesterday. Only allowed a hit in that. The ERA at 5.44 through 9 combined innings of work, 2 walks, 8 strikeouts. And I mentioned the outing against Dartmouth needed only 30 pitches to get through 7 Big Green batters. 1 hit, 5 strikeouts, no walks. Vintage McKenna Reed. There have been some injuries along the way. She was the can't-miss freshman. I like to call her the Florida State flamethrower. She can still do that, by the way. But really trying to finish her career on good terms, the way she wants to go out.
Absolutely. These are big-time scenarios. These are the ones you're going to remember the rest of your life, right? You came in to pitch against Alabama, down 4-0, and you're hoping, obviously, to get your team out of this. Maybe, what I would say right here, you throw a strike and a ground out, right? Throw a strike and a ground out, and you got yourself a double play scenario to get your team out of this jam. It's been a tough inning. Big 2-run homer for Papillo earlier, but McKenna Reed, that's who you're going to call on right here.
One of the veterans of this staff, Reed, goes away to Kristen White, who recorded a single for Alabama last night. Called strike on the corner. Giles stationed at first for Brooke Wells. White lifts this foul.
Great pitch right there by Reed. Work ahead of the count of White. It's always tough coming off the bench as a pinch hitter. But it's especially tough when you fall behind in the count.
McKenna Reed looking for the strikeout. Pop back to short. It's not even going to get there. Beecham ends up making the play.
Yeah, off the end of the bat right there. Beecham rolls over there to catch the shallow infield pop fly. Great job by McKenna Reed coming in, getting a big out right there.
And in steps Anna Roman. First time she has stepped in to the batter's box and not let off an inning. She led off the second, she led off the fourth today for Alabama.
Alabama's been very consistent with the number of batters they're getting up each inning, that's for certain.
Reed staying away from the freshman who, coming into this game, was the home run leader for the Crimson Tide. Went 3 for 5 yesterday in this tournament. Couple of home runs, 7 RBI.
McKenna Reed really working ahead of this batter. It's exactly what you want to see if you're the Seminoles right now. You got to get ahead of these batters. You got to work ahead, get these guys to get themselves out. That's exactly what McKenna Reed's doing.
She couldn't hold up. It's a strikeout for McKenna Reed, who does her job in relief of Jazzy Francic.
It's exactly what you need for the Seminoles. McKenna Reed jumping up in the zone here to a hot-hitting Roman, able to get her to swing. And look at this right here. She just can't hold up. McKenna Reed able to close that inning out, get the Noles back up to bat.
Back here in Tallahassee, where Alexis Papillo has put on a show this weekend.
You see it right here. She has not missed many barrels. She has scooped 2 balls out of here today. She has 3 of the 4 RBIs for the Bama lineup right now. And I'll tell you what, she is seeing a ball. It must look like a beach ball to her right now.
Single-handedly providing Jocelyn Brisky a lot of run support that the way she's going, she hasn't really needed.
A strike throwing machine. We talked about this earlier. She has 6 strikeouts already and only 1.5 times through this Florida State lineup. She has been clutch in that circle today for Bama.
She has gotten the strikeouts when she's needed to in high leverage situations. 6 in total for Brisky, the 2 home runs for Papillo. Marley Giles has had a good day, 2 for 2. Jazzy Francic got the start, and Alabama got to her. Sturgis, who leads off, roped a double back in the third to kick off that inning as well. And she's going to go to the big part of the ballpark to get this inning started for the Noles. How good has Sturgis been against the Tide?
I'll tell you what, Sturgis has had great at-bat after great at-bat. This ball, again, not trying to do too much. Just throw the hands, which are so incredibly fast, and she shoots this ball into the old 4-hole right there for a single to start this off for the Noles. The 3rd inning in a row that the Noles have had the leadoff runner on base.
As for Brisky, you see that pitch count there at 51 pitches for this game. She has not thrown more than 51 in any appearance this season. We mentioned at the top, coming in off an injury, you would expect she would be built up a little bit more as that ball gets to the backstop. But we'll keep an eye on it. How far can she go? How good is she? This is where we're going to start getting into some new territory, at least this season, on the rehab process.
Right. It's you're coming off an injury. You want to ease your way back into it. Last outing or highest outing was 51 pitches. That was the 52nd. You're starting to see a little fatigue, and that's okay. It's what you expect. But as a coach at Alabama, right, you want to see if she can self-correct. You want to see if she can work her way out of the jam that she's created. You need for Brisky to go deeper into games, and this is an opportunity for her to show she can.
And Bella Ruggiero bounces this ball to first. It will move Sturgis to third. And for Florida State, perhaps a shot in the arm is coming to the batter's box in the one and only Kennedy Harp.
Yeah, Kennedy Harp is going to pinch hit right here. This is only her third at bat of the season. Coming off a knee injury that's kept her sidelined for a little while. And you hear the Florida State fans, they know who's up to bat. They love Kennedy Harp, and she has been so good for the Seminoles in her career. And what a big chance right here to kind of, like you said, put a little shot of adrenaline into the scoring process for the Noles. Runner on third, only one out. One of your better hitters in the lineup coming up.
Called strike to start for Harp. Just her third at-bat of the season. Had one against Dartmouth yesterday, one earlier today as well. Grounded into a fielder's choice yesterday against the Big Green, and today flied out to left, did Harp. First time she has seen Alabama. She herself, like Brisky, coming in off of an injury, hers an ACL injury, rather late in the season. And this is fisted toward left. Could be trouble except for a terrific play by Johnson.
Johnson doing a good job right there. I mean, you have to play Harp a little deeper so she gets a good jump, has a long way to go to get that ball, but able to make the play and immediately throws home. Not deep enough to bring in the runner from third right there, but Harp just missing a ball right there, but it brings the lineup back to the top.
And Heller taps at that. Brisky goes to first, and Wells hangs on to apply the tag at the base, retiring Heller and preserving the 4-run lead for the Crimson Tide. Well, that bunch is certainly enjoying their afternoon here in Tallahassee. Up 4-0 over the Seminoles of Florida State. Winners of game one between themselves and FSU. And here's the preseason poll in the SEC. Alabama was 9th in that department coming into the season. Boy, if this is the 9th best team in the SEC, I'd love to see 8 better.
Right, that is a tough conference. But man, Alabama looking like a true World Series competitive team right now. They're doing it on every side of the ball with their pitching staff. They are swinging the bat great, playing great defense, doing everything you need to do to win some ball games here in Tallahassee.
Their bottom of the order will get things started here in the 6th for Alabama. Jenna Young leans into that one and leaves no doubt.
Jenna Young looks like she was a little out in front of this pitch, but gets enough of the barrel to carry this ball over the fence in right center field. And Jenna Young doing it again, finding her way on base and showing a little pop as well. Gets a ball elevated and stays through it. Tell you what, Alabama is putting some backspin on some balls here in Tallahassee over the last couple days.
And in will step Monty Hubbard.
I want you to look at the scoreboard, you see 5 runs on 6 hits for Alabama. Out of those 6 hits, 4 home runs.
Yeah. Hubbard starts off showing bunt, a strike to her.
And you talk another one, that Monty Hubbard, a home run in her last at bat. where if you're McKenna Reed, you really need a great out right here. Already working ahead 0-2. You see that intensity in her eyes. She knows what's at stake for this runner. Great pitch.
A backwards K to Monty Hubbard. Second strikeout for McKenna Reed.
McKenna Reed, just the intensity in her eyes after that home run. I don't think anybody thought that ball was going to leave the yard, but it did. And she comes back with a quick out, quick strikeout to Monty Hubbard.
And in Reed, you're talking about a player who her freshman year was all ACC and cracked the second team. She was a freshman All-American, according to D1 softball. Pretty good opinion. Made 43 appearances as a freshman, but I mentioned some of the issues that hampered her since, you know, the 43 appearances then, and then in the 2 years between then and now, 43 combined there.
Yep. Yeah, battling a little bit of injuries from time to time, battling some confidence maybe a little, but
that's hit pretty well, and that'll get down in center field. Lauren Johnson turns it over with a single.
You see that right there. That's, you know, you're rolling as a lineup when ball off the end of the bat finds the green space out in the outfield. Back to McKenna Reed, just there's no question that she has the stuff to be great, right? She has all of the markings of just a phenomenal world-class pitcher. Just needs to build that confidence back up and be a staple back in this rotation for the Seminoles.
Here's Vandegrift. 0 for 3 with a couple of strikeouts. Fouled away. 1-1, and Vandegrift part of a really talented outfield group for Alabama. About 6 different players can check in and out of there. And Patrick Murphy said, look, it's really just going to depend on whose bats are hottest.
Right. He said he has one of the fastest outfields that he's had in his coaching career.
Fights this one off toward left. Griggs ranges back and makes the play. So Vandegrift still searching for that elusive hit this weekend. And in will step Wells. Kinley Pate pinch ran for her. Wells able to re-enter. Ball 1 to Brooke.
Brooke Wells, slugging percentage coming into this game, 1138. That's up. If you don't know what that is, that's an impressive number. That's as high as it gets, just about.
Came into today, just to follow that thought, leading Alabama in doubles, in walks, in slugging percentage, as you mentioned, on-base percentage, and then when you combine the two, OPS as well.
Yep.
The OPS, by the way, coming into today, 1.770.
I mean, 770 would be awesome. It'd be very impressive. But 1,000 points higher than that, that's insane.
Climbs the ladder there, it goes 2-2. Reed has gone an inning and a third. She's looking for her third strikeout to put an end to this sixth. Off the end of the bat, and that'll drop in shallow right. McKenzie gets on top of it, but Johnson goes first to third.
And that is a tough play. Bueno playing back. That ball, you know things are going well for you when you, again, you get a ball off the end of the bat and it falls That is a tough spot. McKenna Reed made a great pitch right there. But Wells, who has been lights out this weekend, I'll tell you what, when things are going your way, they're going your way, and that ball falls over the first baseman's head.
Well, McKenna Reed came in and competed hard. She retired a few Bama batters, but her outing is over. Back here in Tallahassee, Ashton Danley, the two-way player for the Seminoles, will face Alabama for the first time out of the circle this weekend. 7 appearances prior to this on the season, a 2-1 record for Ashton, 4.85 the ERA through 13 combined innings, 12 strikeouts to 10 walks. Now she'll vacate left field. Bella Ruggiero, who was catching, will go to left field, and Anna Hind will step in as the new catcher. She started the game as the DP.
Cool. Like we said earlier, very versatile group of players for Lonnie Alameda, but Danley is no stranger to the circle. And I'll tell you what, she's being thrusted in right now with a runner on first, a runner on third, and 2 outs. And if you saw her warming up right there, the intensity in her eyes, she knows the situation and how important this out is for the Seminoles.
Preseason All-ACC, Ashton Danley. Last year on the All-Conference team. Year before that, the All-Freshman team and the All-Second team in the Atlantic Coast Conference. Looking to try to do what of recent memory, and it's not just a Florida State thing, it's a lot of team thing, just doesn't seem to be entirely possible. Alexis Papillo is just seeing beach balls against everybody.
Try to do the impossible and get her out.
Good spot there. Foul tip, it's 1-2.
Great pitch right there to work ahead of Papillo. You just got to stay away from her barrel.
A player who has grown leaps and bounds in every facet of her game, a self-made talent. Trying to dig in, down 1-2. Danley trying to retire her. What a spot!
Tremendous pitch for Danley, coming in big for the Noles right there, doing exactly what she needed to do. Huge, huge strikeout right there for Danley.
Alabama does tack on another run courtesy of Jenna Young. Danley trying to rescue some momentum for the Noles, though. Tallahassee, Florida State down to the last 6 outs, trailing by 5 to Alabama. The Noles offense this season, pretty solid. 326, 48 extra base knocks, 85 runs, 72 RBI. 30 of those extra base knocks have been of the 2-bag variety. Jason E. Beecham trying to spark the Noles offense here, jumping on the first pitch. In the same spot of the order we were at a couple of innings ago when FSU went single to start the 4th with Beecham and then Danley, who is now in the circle for the Seminoles but will still hit for herself. Nothing and 2.
Beecham falling behind right there, but seems to have that ball timed up. She's seen it well. That ball just up and out of the zone. That's a tough pitch to make great contact with, but tip your cap to Brisky. She has been lights out.
Called strike 3. Jason E. Beecham is retired.
That is exactly what you want to see if you're Alabama from Brisky. 3 quick pitches and a quick strikeout to get the ever so dangerous Jason E. Beecham.
Ashton Danley pounces on the first pitch and rolls over it to first.
We talked about pitch count for Brisky coming into the day. She, her best total of the season as she builds back up. The stamina was 51. She's at 61 now in the 6th inning. Knowles not helping her out on pitch count so far this inning.
Anna Hind inside for the strike. Boy, not afraid to come inside to the righties.
Well, she's got really good run on that rise ball and that sinker.
Hind, who came into today with the 2nd highest batting average on the team behind only Isa Torres. Had a good day yesterday, 3 for 5, a couple of RBI and a run scored. Today 0 for 2 though. Hit that one well. Clearly foul, pulled well left of that third base line, but boy, saw a couple of folks in that Bama bullpen flinching.
Oh, yeah. Cameramen down there just flinching. But I'll tell you what, Anna Hind, really good job right there, realizing that they are coming inside. She pulls the hands in, gets the barrel to that ball. Just got to straighten one out now.
Another one foul to Hind, who you go back to her senior year of high school softball, where she played for her dad, Kevin, who he himself played baseball in the ACC at Clemson. She batted .679 as a senior en route to a state championship.
Wow. That's better than 2 of every 3.
Oh, a changeup. What a pitch by Brisky.
One of the first ones of the day that she's thrown with such precision. Absolutely freezes Hind. And you see her really pull the string on this changeup, and you see Hind not able to pull the trigger. And Seminoles down, 3 up, 3 down.
Back here in Tallahassee on ACC NX. Alabama will go 4-5-6 in the top half of the 7th. Marley Giles 2 for 3 in this game against Florida State. A couple of singles in her last 2 ABs. Her first one was such that it resulted in an error.
Marley Giles has been one of those tough outs to get for the Seminoles. Just as solid as a hitter as you can get. Another laser. This one just right at Bueno. Able to handle that one. But Marley Giles, another really hard contact ball right at the first baseman. And Bueno had her played perfectly.
Worth mentioning, new catcher for Florida State who subbed in there. Maddie Fry, our terrific crew, showing you a couple of shots of her right before that laser to first. And there is Fry. The veteran of those 3 catching options. Bella Ruggiero, a redshirt freshman, Hind herself a true freshman. Meanwhile, here's Hawkins.
Hawkins batted 3rd in the lineup. We talked about it earlier. Yesterday's game dropped back to the 5 hole, which I have to assume was strategic with the amount of times that Wells, Papillo, and Giles are on base. But Papillo really hadn't been on base.
She's been on him.
She's been on all of them.
She's just touched him for a couple seconds.
Yeah, she hasn't stayed on base for Hawkins.
Off speed there. Hawkins fouls it away.
Good pitch by Danley. Again, just what you got to do. You got to keep these hitters off balance and get them out front on their front leg. Try to slow their bat down. It's a good pitch right there by Danley to Salem Hawkins.
Two balls, 2 strikes. one away here in the top of the 7th.
Hawkins able to work it full.
Looks like Larissa Pruitt is in the on-deck circle, waiting in the wings for Alabama with the count going full. So Hawkins ahead of her. Off the end of the bat and right over to Angeli Bueno. Hawkins digs in for 2. Boy, but that stung Angeli. Out comes Lonnie Alameda.
Yeah, tough hop. That's a tough hop right there. That one, she went down to block that ball up, which is what you're taught to do. But the ball taking a really rough hop straight up into the what looks like the mouth of Angeli Bueno. And that is tough. Yeah. Tough one right there as Angeli Bueno gets hit in the face, and Hawkins able to leg it out to second on the miscue.
Boy, second straight time between the Crimson Tide and the Seminoles that something bizarre takes place in the top of the 7th.
Yeah.
And we have injury concerns. And, you know, you accept that it's part of the game. You know it in your mind that there's always a chance that something can happen.
Sure.
But it just, like I said yesterday, it takes your breath away when you see it.
I'll tell you what, and the way that the Alabama lineup has kind of kicked it into high gear against the Seminoles, it's almost like getting kicked while you're down in the 7th inning to deal with an injury. Both games so far. We love to see the toughness.
Big deep breath, and look at the freshman, Marin Heller, stepping in to initiate that. That's the freshman leadership.
I love the
right?
freshman leadership. Yeah, hey, take a deep breath. We're going to do this together. Let's get out of this together. I think you're looking probably at a future captain of the Noles right there.
100%. So it's Hawkins at second. If you're scoring the game at home, it's been scored as a double. Larissa Pruitt, as I mentioned, will hit here for Anna Roman. On the ground, and Bueno beats her to first.
And I'll tell you what, the game has a way of finding you again, and Bueno showing the toughness not only to stay in the game, but to get in front of that ball and get a quick out for Danley and her teammates. Great job. You see that smile over there from Bueno. And now the Seminoles have to get this third out. Do not want this run to score from third base.
It is Jenna Young who led off the 6th with a solo shot.
Off speed right there from Danley. Staying down in the zone. Not going to make the same mistake to Jenna Young as Reed did last inning.
2 balls and a strike to the second baseman.
Great pitch right there by Danley to work herself back into a pitcher's count. Tell you what, Danley's stuff has looked really good so far here today.
She's been solid. 14 pitches in total. A combined inning of work, trying to make it an inning and a third.
Good pitch.
Change the speed to perfection. The change retires young.
Like I said, Danley's been lights out, and we talk about pitching, man. This is a big-time pitch where she freezes Jenna Young and just does a phenomenal job to get her team back in it.
Well, 6 innings in the books for Jocelyn Brisky, and she is back out to try to go the complete game against Florida State. A season-high 67 pitches for Jocelyn, who is on the comeback trail after an off-season rehab process that has continued into the initial weeks of this 2026 season. She will start off here in this 7th inning against Haley Griggs, the shortstop for Florida State this afternoon. FSU will go 5, 6, 7 here, at least initially, in this home half of the 7th.
I'll tell you what, there's 2 numbers that stand off the page to me, and that is the 0 walks. Now, I know it's not on there right now, but that, her 69th pitch of the game, 61 strikes. We called it a strike-throwing machine a couple times, but holy smokes.
Griggs pulls the trigger, and that will hit the netting. The freshman will live to see another pitch here.
Griggs struggling to really find the barrel against Brisky so far, but I'll tell you what, if somebody is due in this lineup, it's Haley Griggs.
Holds off there, it goes 2-2, but boy, the offensive maybe frustration here over the last couple of games for Griggs, but she has been really good defensively, and she's stepped up big time up the middle of the infield today.
Absolutely.
Down she goes. Climbs the ladder at 68.
And she is just, I'll tell you what, Brisky has just been kryptonite today for Griggs. She has climbed the ladder, I think, in all 3 of her at-bats, and just kept the ball above her barrel. It has been so hard to find solid contact for the Noles against Brisky so far today.
Swing and a miss from Shelby McKenzie. Still work to do for each of these teams here this weekend. For Alabama, they'll take on Elon literally right after this one. And then they've got Dartmouth tomorrow. For Florida State, they've already played Dartmouth twice. They will play Elon tomorrow. McKenzie back to the circle, and Brisky puts her away at first.
Well, I'll tell you what, not only does she have 9 strikeouts, no walks, but she can field her position a little bit, huh?
She sure can.
Well, that'll bring up really the only Florida State hitter who seems to have Brisky figured out, McKenna Sturgis.
A double and a single for Sturgis. Batting average up to .359. Fouled away, it goes 1-1. You can see the benefit of all the work that FSU built into the front side of this season, at least in Sturgis, right?
Absolutely.
The freshmen dug into their routine in the fall. According to Lonnie Alameda, she said they worked through the hard, they weren't afraid to fail.
When you think of the shoes she's filling, too, you know, and Kennedy Harp, who you know, did a really good job, you know, trailing center field or patrolling center field, and you bring a freshman in that's got to kind of set the tone and fill a spot in that lineup, fill a void, and she has done amazing so far.
Especially today, and ahead in the count here. Hits that well toward the gap, and Sturgis Surge puts the Noles on the board.
McKenna Sturgis bringing a little life back into this Seminole lineup and dugout. Her third hit of the night against Alabama, and like I said, really the only hitter who's able to find it. She squares this one up, sends it into orbit. This ball out by a long ways. McKenna Sturgis, have yourself a day.
A single, a double, a home run for McKenna Sturgis. Here is Bella Ruggiero. And Brisky hits with strike one. Alabama 1 out away from a couple of top 10 wins this weekend on the road in Tallahassee. Missed the spot inside to Ruggiero.
Probably the most balls she's thrown in a single inning.
There have been very many.
There have not been very many. I mean, she could throw 12 more and still have probably a banner day. But she has been so good today.
And Ruggiero fights that off. And you can see that grit, that battle, that want to in Florida State. Obviously, you've seen it in Alabama, but sometimes you also learn a lot more about how does your team respond down 4 runs, backs against the wall.
Absolutely, and you can't win every game by 10 runs or 8 runs. You gotta fight through some, and this is what you want to see your team doing.
As Ruggiero pops it up over the infield, Young calls everybody off, and Alabama, a sensational couple of ball games against the Seminoles over this weekend. They take that step up in competition, make the drive a few hours down the interstate to Tallahassee, and they prove that the numbers in the circle and the numbers at the plate are very much real, and so are they. I think also, Brandon, Florida State has still represented themselves well this season. They're just going to have to go back to the drawing board.
Right. You look at Florida State's only losses this season are against top 10 teams, but like you said, Bama has just been spectacular. The pitchers they brought to the table, the bats, everything you could want in a team. They have played, they have it, and they have played it at an elite level. You know, today's game, you got 6 total runs, 5 of them coming off the long ball, and Bama with 4 of those home runs. Just spectacular today against the Seminoles.
Well, that'll do it here in Tallahassee. Brandon, one last thought from you, right? Florida State, we mentioned they're going to get to figure some things out. We saw how well they responded to the disappointment yesterday against Dartmouth this morning. What are you hoping to see against Elon tomorrow?
Well, you definitely want to see some of the batters in the lineup that struggled today. You want to see them come out there and just square up that first pitch, that first at bat, have a quality at bat, get your team going, get them rolling, try to put up a 5 spot in the first inning. Do something that just regains that momentum for this long season.
And we'll see if they can do just that tomorrow afternoon on ACC Network Extra. But for now, it is so long from us here at Joanne Graff Field. For Brandon Reichert, our producer Tucker Pierce, director Abby Longhoff, the entire crew on hand at the Seminole Softball Complex, Sean Davison saying good evening from Tallahassee, where Alabama wins it 5-1 over the Seminoles of Florida State. Have a good night, everybody.